Want to talk about how conversations between Christians and atheists, often on social media, but it could be over a cup of coffee or in the street as well, how they often go sideways because people don't understand some of the subtext of what is going on and some of the understandings of what Christianity is, which are providing insuperable barriers for understanding and productive conversation. So let's start off with the fact that I hear things like this a lot. An atheist will say to me, Christians believe you burn in hell forever just because you didn't pray a sinner's prayer. And I'll say, no, that's not a Christian teaching. Now, could you find an independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills that does teach something like that? Well, perhaps, but that's not what Christians as such believe or what Christianity Simplicator teaches. In that sense, it is a straw man fallacy to take the beliefs of that independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills and project it onto global Christendom. Well, the atheist in this conversation nonetheless will reply undaunted, yes, that is what Christians believe. And then they will buttress their allegation or their claim by saying, I was a Christian for 40 years. So let's assume, for the sake of charity, that that atheist is accurately representing the views of an independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills that they happen to attend for 40 years. Not only is that a straw man to project onto global Christendom the beliefs of that particular Baptist church, but it also stumbles into a second fallacy, that of hasty generalization. This is the fallacy of making broad or general conclusions based on an unrepresentative data sample. It's like concluding you understand what global Christianity believes and teaches based upon 4 decades of attending an independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills. Here's an analogy of what I'm talking about. Imagine that you're traveling in Europe when you meet an American expatriate living in France. You tell him, "Oh, I love America." And he replies, "Meh, it's a terrible country." "No, it isn't," you reply. "It's a very fine country." And he says, "Hey, I lived in America for 40 years. I know it's terrible." So then you ask, "Oh, well, tell me about your experience. Where did you live?" That's the next thing you should be asking. And then he says, "I lived in Podunk, Nebraska. I grew up there and I never left until I turned 40. And then I moved to France and never looked back." Here's the thing that you want to tell that fellow. Your experience in Podunk, Nebraska is insufficient as a data sample to make general conclusions about what it is like to live in America. And your experience at an independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills for 4 decades provides insufficient data to make general conclusions about global Christendom. Anyway, I've been a Christian for more than 40 years, and I don't believe that Christians burn in hell forever just because you don't pray a sinner's prayer. Which, of course, brings us now to our next fallacies. The third fallacy is that of confirmation bias, where the atheist who makes the claim like that will then justify it by only counting the hits. In other words, that a rural church, independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills, and they will discount all of the misses, like vast tracts of global Christendom, including the very Christian with whom they're talking to at the moment. And they will finally invoke a fourth fallacy, which is the no true Scotsman fallacy. In other words, when I then deny that I believe or Christians believe that you burn in hell just because you didn't pray a sinner's prayer, the atheist can reply, well, you're not a true Christian, which actually ends up meaning that true Christians, by this definition, are only the people who meet the standards of that independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills. And that's the key. For many apologetic conversations, Christians and atheists go back and forth debating what they think is Christianity, with their two ships passing in the night, effectively talking past one another, because they each have different conceptions of what it is that they are talking about. And if one of them in particular is assuming that Christianity just is that thing which matches up to his independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills, they are formed by a toxic shadow legacy of formative influence by one particular congregation, which has distorted their complete understanding of what Christianity is. And if that's what the issue is, and you never get down to that subtext, you're not going to have a productive conversation. So, if you do want to have productive conversations between atheists and Christians, you first need to get a common understanding of what Christianity is. And if there is a subtext from the atheist perspective and experience that distorts their understanding of what Christianity is, and they are actually arguing against the experience of 40 years being at an independent Baptist church in the Appalachian foothills, you need to make that clear, or you're not going to have a productive conversation.